We are live. What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. We're back.
I'm trying to get some video going, but it ain't working. But hey, happy Monday. Our tech is whatever. It's not working, but we're live. We're solid. We're here, and we are lead with production Mondays. Want to reach out to everybody and just how we can help you grow your business. Daniel.
Yes, absolutely. What's going on, everybody? So this weekend we had a little bit of downtime, and my wife and I actually got a transaction under contract together. I think it's the first time. It's her listing and my buyer. So we're gonna be negotiating hard with each other this after.
Talk about an in-house deal.
I better stay quiet. So so that's pretty cool. We had that happen over the weekend. Had a little bit of beach enjoyment time. I think. Did you also?
We took the boat out. I haven't been on it in about 3 months, and so it was nice to get out there, get on the chain of lakes, and just be out. I mean, the kids were at their friends' houses, so we didn't have any time crunch we needed to be on, and the weather was perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. So and also walking. Last month I walked over 100 miles, which is not super crazy, but it was cool to have that done. So my plan is to do that again this year, and I'm on pace. But what I'm doing when I'm walking is always changing. Like just walking can be boring. I'm not one to listen to too much music, so I'm always trying to feed my mind while I'm walking or get some work done. Sometimes I'm editing videos. Sometimes I'm posting Instagram reels. Sometimes I'm creating video while I'm walking. But over the weekend, I started listening to a podcast by Michael Reese. And for those of you who don't know Michael Reese, he's one of the business partners here in our group. Jay Kinder is someone in our group who pours into us a lot. And Michael Reese and Jay Kinder have been partners for many years. They had a coaching company called the National Association of Expert Advisors. And so Michael Reese has an awesome podcast, and it's called the Digital President Podcast. So if you're in real estate, it's a really great podcast to listen, and you're going to learn awesome lessons that are applicable in today's market. It's very up to date, very current, and Michael Reese is just a wizard in all kinds of ways. So a lot of what he shares is awesome, and his co-host on the podcast is Woods Davis, which I haven't met him yet. I don't know him too well, but the podcast is really awesome. So I just wanted to share, something that Todd and I have had in common for years is we always want to learn. It's easy once you've closed 10 transactions to feel like, wow, I've closed 10 transactions. I can write an offer. I'm negotiating. I got what my buyer wanted done on that transaction, despite some challenges or vice versa with the seller. And you feel confident like, hey, I've produced over $1 million in volume. You start feeling like you know what you're doing and you know what you're talking about, which is the case. But in reality, the basics. So Todd and I together have closed, I don't know, probably a couple thousand transactions, but we're still very regularly, if not on a daily basis, consuming information to learn more and how we can always be improving our skills. So that's something that you as an agent out there, if you want to be, one of those top caliber agents, some agents just want to close 3 or 4 or 5 deals to kind of add some gravy to their pension income or something like that. But if you're one of those that are striving to be on the top, you're always going to want to be learning ways to get more business and to be more efficient with your time. So this podcast is an example. What about you, Todd?
Somebody just commented, learning to be 1% better every day, and you have to do that. And I don't educate enough, and I want to educate a lot more. I mean, I have all these emails from videos, just people that I follow that have recorded something that I want to go back and watch, and it can be inundating, but it's also, you've got to where's your focus? What do you want to learn on this week? And maybe that's your Sunday nights to say, hey, what do I want to better myself on in the business this week? And dig deep to whether it's searching YouTube or talking to somebody, one of your partners or somebody in your office to say, hey, I want to get better at my listing presentations. Who are you following, or who did you follow in the beginning to get better at that? And, just dive into that person, because you can find somebody who's doing what you want to do and emulate them. I mean, that's going to next level your business. And I love what Woods Davis and Michael Reese are doing. I mean, I don't know how they come up with so much content every day, but those guys are just crushing it with the stuff they're putting out there.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. We have someone, they just posted in the comments, learning to be 1% better every day. that's a phrase that comes from the book Slight Edge. So I don't know. I don't know who posted that. Maybe post your name as a comment and we'll be able to see it. But learning to be 1% better every day, that's a concept from the book The Slight Edge. I'm sure it's the concept for a lot of books. It actually is. They don't say it exactly that way, but The Slight Edge says it exactly that way. And that's one of the books that was instrumental in my real estate career. Just try to be 1% better every day. That's Lewis right there. So if you haven't checked out the book, The Slight Edge, you should check it out. It's all about just, striving to be 1% better every day. And that's how people get better and better over time. The Michael Reese podcast, I found it on Audible, but it's also on the Apple podcast list. I listened to the last 3 episodes. One of them was building a community around your brand. And so, there's different brands. You have a brand for your company or your team, but you also have a personal brand. And he was giving a lot of examples, like Harley Davidson, for example, is a brand where they make millions and millions of dollars outside of just selling motorcycles because there's a brand following and it's huge. And so the brand is recognizable. One of the examples he was giving was honey badgers. So Todd and I are part of the honey badger group at EXP, and how that brand is starting to take off where, they're able to leverage the sales of merchandise and other things. And it's becoming recognizable. He was telling a story about Al Stasek on the boat, how someone recognized the honey badger. His boat is called the Honey Badger. And someone said, "Hey, are you the realtor?" So it was pretty, he was giving some examples. His other podcast was Life by Strategy, how to be more strategic. Basically, if you're enjoying what you do for work, then it doesn't feel like work. And that's why a lot of us, can dedicate so many hours to what we do, because it's not, like necessarily like digging ditches. We're enjoying ourselves. We're helping buyers. We're helping sellers. We're helping agents. We're helping our team. And that can be fulfilling. Of course, you don't want to do it 24 hours a day, but he was just talking about when you're strategic about your business and your life, you can orchestrate it in a way where you don't wake up miserable every Monday morning, like, oh man, have to work. So there were some really awesome takeaways on that episode. One of the other books that I've recommended a lot to agents is The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents. The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents. That one is Hal Elrod and Jay Kinder contributed, and I believe Michael Reese also is a contributor to that one. And that, just talks about being most efficient and making the most out of your morning, and by starting off on the right foot, how it's going to impact your day, which then in turn impacts your week, impacts your months, and then, by that you're building momentum and growing, maybe more than 1%. So a lot of these concepts from these books, they tie together, and it's just really important to always have an open mind to learning, and just don't think that, I've done 20 transactions, I know how to do real estate, and I don't, there's nothing else out there that I can learn, because it's not about just getting through a transaction. It's about generating business and reliably. One of the things that Michael Reese was talking about, if you can't predict the amount of business you're getting from certain efforts, then it's not really a strategic business. So if you're just kind of, bumping and scraping along and deals are coming from here and there, and you can't really, there's no predictability to it, then you have to increase your systems and your processes. So I would encourage everybody to get into that. And we have multiple mastermind groups that Todd and I are a part of on a weekly basis that we learn from every week.
Well, and part of what you're talking about with agents who have sold 4 or 5 million, and then all of a sudden they're like, what do I do? You've got to be relearning, because I got to relearn my listing presentation. I got to relearn how to do the business every day, because this market keeps changing, and things that they talk about with like the shifting market. I had a call on Friday with an agent who's like, we just had these sellers who just did this, and I'm just not used to that. Or these buyers who are like requesting all kinds of repairs under the sun. And, normally we just write the contract and it goes to closing. And I'm like, well, let's talk about, the 2 years in the business. What was the last 2 years in the business? It was write a contract, go to closing, write a contract, go to closing, right. And learn. And that's not the business anymore. It's, now you need to learn how to negotiate repairs, and do you put a home warranty in a contract? And so I said to her, you need to talk to her partner and say, hey, we need to put together a class called The New Normal. And because this now is what you and I've been doing the last 15 to 18 years in the business, or 20 years.
The new / previous normal.
Yeah. Back, or what we can call it, back to the old days, which is prior 2020.
Back to normal.
Really what it was.
There we go. Back to normal.
Pre 2020 with the normal market. And this is not just, you shuffle people through houses. It's a business. You've got to write contracts. You've got to look at properties. You've got to analyze properties and how to do that. And so I walk my team, we did this in 2020 where we walked through a property, looked at all the stuff that should be negotiated. And we have to go back out and do it again, because from then to now it was cakewalk. And now we've got to get back in, and your team members need to know that as well. So, future class coming up, we're going to talk about what's the new normal. And we'll definitely mention that, because I want to get them, these people are, all agents are good agents. You just can't sit back and wait for that to happen. And if you're not adjusting to what's happening in the market right now, you need to really learn what's going on, because for us, it's the norm. I hated the last 2 years. I love what's going on now. I love having a listing on the market for more than 2 weeks. What's a price reduction? And, what do you mean price reduction? So it's like how to have those conversations with your sellers.
You have to be able to pivot and adjust, because the market's changing. In the podcast, they were just talking about the same thing. The market is changing. And if you did the same thing all the time, eventually that is going to wear out. And a lot of times what they found during the last market crash is people who are doing the same things and maybe putting all their eggs in one basket of marketing or something like that, it can dry up very quickly overnight. And so you have to have multiple sources of business and multiple streams, because if one dries up, it's not all of your eggs were not in that one basket. So you have to figure out ways, and that's where these masterminds come in handy, and that's where podcasts come in handy, because they help you learn. That's where coaching comes in handy, and that's where partnering with agents that have a lot of experience comes in handy, because we've been through the trenches. So if you're watching this in the future or right now, and there's a book out there that was helpful in your real estate career, it'd be awesome if you can put it in the comments and contribute to others that are watching this. And, there are a few, but the Slide Edge is one that we talked about earlier today, and Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents, and also, some podcasts and what they say, YouTube University. And if you're interested in joining some of these live masterminds that we do, we would love to have you on those as well. We attend, we're invited to at least 6 masterminds on a weekly basis. We attend around 3. But, one of the big resources, several of the big resources for us, we've got Veronica Figueroa. She's always pouring into us through our masterminds. Carlos German's always pouring into us through our masterminds. Gil Ramos, Jay Kinder, they're always pouring into us through our masterminds. Cliff Freeman sometimes, Brent Gove. And so these are like big hitters in our industry, and we're all networking with them, on a regular basis. So, and we're all learning from each other, because Todd is chiming in and sharing strategies that work for him. I'm doing the same, and we're all getting better as a result. So it's been awesome.
No, and I love learning. I mean, they've all taken their business to the next level. Now they're running large teams and coaching consistently and doing things. So I love what they're doing, and I love being part of all that. I mean, it's helped us grow our business to where I had a team of 2 people for 6 years, and now we're a team of 12. I mean, I never thought I'd have a team of 12 people, and having the operational background to run it. I didn't learn that from myself. I learned it from others that are in that business.
And what mistakes to avoid, which is huge, rather than, we're going to learn from trial and error. Experience is the number one educator. But it's nice to reduce that number of errors that you have to learn from by following the footsteps of other people who've had success in the future. So,
it's funny. Yeah. I had lunch with a agent on Friday who is like, I should retire. I got enough money. But I have. Is that yours? Oh, yeah. But I've got so much business out there, I don't want to give up. Then I'm like, start a team, run that, and I can show you how to do all these partnerships. You got your listing partner, your buyer partners, and all these things. So it was like interesting to sit down and like share what we learned and the ideas, so they can go into it on the right foot. So.
And some of the masterminds, just all this stuff is coming to mind right now. But some of the masterminds that we've been talking about lately is, we've had a guest speaker, how to crush it with for sale by owner and expireds. Recently, I was on a mastermind, how to crush it with 1031 exchanges and 55 plus communities. And so every week there's a new theme, and somebody, how to crush it in social media. there, and even, you know, more micro than that, how to crush it on TikTok, how to crush it on Instagram. So we're learning, and you just kind of can register for the ones that you either it's a big interest of yours and you're doing well and you want to take it to the next level, or maybe that's an area that you're overlooking and you want to learn the basics. But no matter what it is, if you want to learn, you know, even Michael Reese in these podcasts talking about how to crush it through email. So it's been awesome, and it's just like sometimes drinking from a fire hose. It's so much information, but it's great that it just keeps coming and it's all fresh, and it's not 20-year-old information that was working, you know, 20 years ago. So
well,
that's been awesome.
Think about, as you're in this business for a long period of time, you know, what's a 1031 exchange? I have no idea. What you need to learn these acronyms, because if a buyer throws it at you, you need to know, and you don't have to be the expert. Trust me, you do not want to be an expert on 1031 exchanges or the FERPTA laws or anything like that. But you want to have enough information to be dangerous. And at the end of, right before it gets dangerous is when you call up Daniel Betancourt, who's a 1031 exchange person, and say, hey, Daniel, I need to connect with my buyer because he's got some conversations or FERPTA, etc. Because you want to refer out, but you want to have some education on it. And that way, you know, all aspects of the business and just enough to be able to bring in the specialist at the certain
you
point.
need access to the experts, and experts that are willing to help you. That's one of the big things that's kind of unlocking the success of our brokerage, and why, you know. So I think that's about it for today, right?
We got 2 classes coming up at our office in Altamont. One is with Yvonne Sandoval, and she's doing Beyond Selfies and Glamour Shots. It's a breakfast and learn, not a lunch and learn. That's going to be on Thursday at 10 o'clock at our office here in Altamont Springs. And just talk about your personal branding and how to elevate it and invest in it, cultivate it, protect it, etc. So we've got that coming up on Thursday at 10. And then we are also doing a buyer 3-hour mastery course. That's going to be Zoom. So if you want the Zoom link, definitely let us know. And if you're in Florida, you're going to get 3 CE credits for that as well. It's a national, obviously, exposure, but Florida, because it's taught by a Florida instructor, they're offering 3 CE credits for it. So really how to master the buyer process, getting preparation offer, and then getting to closing and beyond, how to obviously generate the referral business after, what the first meeting looks like, how to pre-qualify the buyer, not just financing, but make sure they're the right fit for you. And then doing some marketing to buyers. And then this is through my coach, one of my coaches, Brent Scott, who's walking us through all, you know, some back-end business stuff. And he's bringing this to us. It's no cost to you guys. And if you're obviously in Florida, you get 3 CE credits. So let us know on that. That is Zoom, so you don't need to go to an office. You can do it from your house. And you obviously need to be in attendance for the 3 hours to get your 3-hour CE credits.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Well, on that note, we'll see you all next week.
Yes.
And crush it out there.
Have fun, guys.